The new Circle of Summoners subclass for the Druid, and as a big Druid fan, Baldur's Gate 3 is the one that got me to like Druids. It's a lot of fun to play it, so we're going to jump into it. This is the build guide for it. We're going to go over all the items, combat tutorial, level by level, so let's jump in. And of course we start with the Druid. Now we're using Jaheira as our little guinea pig here, and we're going to start with Thorn Whip and Shillelagh as our base cantrips. Now, as you can see with this build, we're not using a Shillelagh, we're using a rapier, or not a rapier, sorry, we're using a scimitar. So if you're not planning on using a staff for this build, I'd probably take something like Guidance. That'd be my opinion. When it comes to ability points, we're going to have 10 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution for health and concentration, 8 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom for our Wisdom saving throws and for our spell casting modifier, and then 10 Charisma. For proficiencies, take whatever you feel like works best for you. And we go on to level 2, and this is where we get to pick our specialization. And obviously we have a bunch of things we can do, like our Wild Shape and our Natural Recovery, but it's the Circle of Summons mod that we are looking for. This gives us a summon action, meaning we can summon a companion to fight alongside you, and those companions can be a spider or a bear. Now it does use a Wild Shape charge, however you still have the ability to Wild Shape too, meaning you can have a summon and your Wild Shape later in the game, as well as Bone Chill. Now for your spells for level 1, I would suggest taking Thunderwave, really good spell, and to be honest, if you can use this to knock enemies off the ledges and stuff, it's an absolute game changer for combat. Healing Word, so we've got some healing utility. Ice Knife, because I think it's just a great cold damage spell. It also creates ice around the enemy, which means they can slip. Long Strider, again, this lasts until you rest, and essentially you can just add some movement speed to all your characters. And then Create or Destroy Water, as you compare this very nicely with some lightning-based spells and scrolls. Druid level 3 gives a whole bunch of new actions and level 2 spells. So the first spell we are going to take from this point is Spike Growth. Shape a piece of ground into hard spikes, movement is halved. A creature walking on spikes take 2 to 8 piercing damage. So essentially we will make sure the enemies are slow to get to us and take damage as they do so. If you can place this in a choke point, or where there's a big huddle of enemies and they have to go through it, it's a really nice way of stopping them from getting towards you. You can just shoot them with your arrows or whatever you need, and by the time they get to you, your big heavy hitters can then do the damage. Okay, Druid level 4 gives us our Wild Shape for our Dire Raven as well as our first feat. Before that though, we get to pick a cantrip, and for this one we're going to take Produce Flame. And then for your feat, we're going to take the ability score improvement and bump our Wisdom up to 18. And then for our next spell, we're going to take Hold Person, one of my favourite spells in the game. Essentially you can upcast this to target more people, but if this lands, not only will they be held so they can't move, act or react, any attack within 3 meters, so basically melee attacks, will be critical hits. And this will pair very nicely with things like the Rogue Sneak attack, some items you can use which I'll show you, all sorts of fun stuff. Okay, Druid level 5 gives us our Wild Strike, so you can make an additional attack after making an unarmed strike while in Wild Shape, as well as our level 3 spell slots and things such as Grant Flight and Haste. Now when it comes to your next 2 spells, we're going to take Plant Growth, so this is kind of like Spike Growth, however, instead of causing damage and only doing half movement speed, this one does a quarter movement speed but no damage. If you need to stop a big bulk of enemies getting towards you, this is perfect, and then you can use your Ranger, your Rogue, your Wizard, Sorcerer, whatever, to do the ranged attacks, to pick them off before they even get close. We're also going to do Cool Lightning, again this pairs very nicely with Create or Destroy Water, maximising your damage. The biggest problem is with the Druid, a lot of the spells are concentration based, so you have to pick and choose your moments, which is why things like your Wild Shape and your Summons really come in handy. Druid level 6, and this gives us our passive, and this is a fun part. We can either do an evil version or a good version. If we start with the good version, you'll see we get Summon Woodwode and Summon a Giant Eagle, and if we go with the absolute version, we get Summon Ogre or Summon Goblins. Doesn't really matter what you choose here, go with whatever will fit your character, your roleplay, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to take Summon the Absolute because I think it looks a little bit cooler. Now for your spell here, we're going to take Sleet Storm, call forth a storm that disrupts the concentration of spellcasters, douses fire and creates an ice surface. Again, we're just spreading around our different type of damage and all that fun stuff. Druid level 7, this is where we get some fun stuff such as Conjure Woodland Being. What's really cool about the Conjure Woodland Being is you can summon this, and then this character itself has a summon, as you can see in the description, of a Woodwode, meaning for the cost of 1 spell, you get 2 summons effectively. Really nice way of bulking up your team and almost having like a little mini army. So as you probably guessed, the spell we are taking is Conjure Woodland Being. A Druid level 8, now this will be where you get new summons depending on your version. As you see, because we've gone with the Summoner of the Absolute, we get Hook Horrors and we get Alarams. We also unlock our next feat. And of course, you probably guessed, but we are taking our Wisdom all the way up to 20 with the ASI. Now for a spell here, we're going to take Blight, again spreading our damage around, so we've got different damage types, and we're going to go with Necrotic this time. Okay, Druid level 9, we get even more spells, and we get spells that are already with us for good, such as Cloud Kill and Cone of Cold, stuff like that. So, our next spell we're going to take here, we are of course taking a Mass Cure Wounds, again really spreading that healing we need and making sure we have that utility when we need it. We're also going to take Insect Plague. I really like this spell, it makes difficult terrain, disadvantage perception checks. It's another concentration spell, sadly, which kind of a drawback to the Druids, but overall really nice spell to have. And I just think an Insect Plague really fits a Druid and like this summoning Druid theme we have. Okay, Druid level 10 gives us improved Wild Strikes, so you can make 2 additional attacks after making an unarmed strike while in Wild Shape. And Nature's Ward, so you can't be charmed or frightened by elements and Fae. We get one more cantrip for this one, Poison Spray. And for your next spell, I would come down the lower levels. So I would either take Ice Storm, or I'll take something like Heat Metal, just so you've got some lower tier ones, so you can sort of spread around your damage types. I am going to take Ice Storm. If you wanted to take rid of Sleet Storm for some reason, and get like Heat Metal or Enhanced Ability, you could do so. Okay, Druid level 11. Now, how this game works. You only get one level 6 spell slot. But you can pick 2 spells, one at level 11, one at level 12. That just doesn't really work if you're only going to have one spell slot, which is why things like the Spellcrux Amulet and Markshare and like the Staff of Spell Power that give you Arcane Battery are really good. So, for this one we are going to take Hero's Feast. You and everyone around can't be poisoned, diseased or frightened, your HP increases and you make wisdom saves with advantage, and it lasts until long rest. And Druid level 12 gives us Awakened Powers. On your long adventures you have mastered the arts of summoning. You've unlocked the ultimate summon. And we have our new feat. So for our feat, we are actually going to come all the way down here for Tavern Brawler. So when you make an unarmed attack, use an improved weapon or throw something, your strength modifier is added twice to the damage and attack rolls. Why we're taking this is because it works while in Wild Shape. Meaning, if you Wild Shape into a bear, you take on the stats of that bear, and then therefore Tavern Brawler, the stats are improved. So, with that being said, just put it into whatever, because it doesn't matter. And then for your final spell, as much as it'd be lovely to take a Sunbeam or a Heal, your best bet is coming down here and taking something like Fairy Fire, just so you don't accidentally use up your high level spell slots on something that you could be more beneficial, such as Hero's Feast. Okay, when it comes to gear, we actually themed around heat for this. So, for a Circlet, we're going with the Browbeaten Circlet, +1 bonus to spell save DC while threatened. For a Cloak, we're going with the Cindermoth Cloak, a creature that damaged the wearer within 2 meters receives burning. For boots, the boots of the inhibited Kushigo. For armor, the armor of Moonbasket. So, very low AC, but Lunar Bestial Vitality. You gain 22 temporary hit points after casting Wild Shape. While those temporary hit points are active, reduce all incoming damage by 1. We also get Fortitude, +2 bonus to armor class. You also have advantage on saving throws against spells. Amazing. We're going to take the Thematic Gloves. So whenever you deal fire damage, you gain 2 turns of heat. Heat is really cool if we check that out. Take 1 to 4 fire damage each turn, but it can use Heat Convergence. And Heat Convergence basically just means you deal extra heat damage to one of your attacks. For a ring, Fetish of Kaladin's Smooth Hands. Gain invisibility, always fun. Shapeshifter's Boon Ring, so while shapeshifting, gain a +1 bonus to all checks. Strange Tendril Amulet. The reason we're taking this is because I love Edvard's Black Tentacles, and if your druid is going to be a battlefield controller while not wild shaping, Edvard's Black Tentacles is perfect. And then we're going to round it off very nicely with a dex-based weapon of Kerwin's Cauterizer. Deals an additional 1 to 4 fire damage. Target receives burning, unless it says Constitution throw. If you wanted to put on gloves that instead of doing the heat will give you better dex, you could do, and then you'll do more damage with this. Lots of really good options. So that is the build guide. We're going to go throw this into combat, see what you think. Okay, so we've just left camp after a long rest, and the first thing we are going to do is we are going to do our Hero's Feast when I can find it on here. Here we go, Hero's Feast. Gonna target everyone. And there we go. Now what's really cool here is we also have the opportunity, before we even start combat, to summon our woodland being. So it doesn't matter which one you do it, always do it at the lowest because it doesn't get any benefit. But we'll get our Dryad. And now, as I said previously, the Dryad can also cause a summon. So we get the Fallen Lover. Just like that. Okay, you'll see we're in combat, and sadly we are quite low down the turn order. So we're going to have to get through this, but we do have a little mini army with us, which is always nice. So, plan is we will summon one of our special summons thanks to our class, and we'll go through a bunch of options. Get some concentration spells, really show how you can control the battlefield with this. And you can see there the Woodwoad, 12 damage, not bad, with an opportunity attack. Okay, and it's now time for Jaheira's turn. So, first thing we are going to do... Is it Jaheira? I can't tell. It's not Jaheira, we are the Woodwoad. We want to be Jaheira, there we go. Nope, it's not letting me change to Jaheira. Okay, you know, we'll start with the Dryad, it's okay. So Dryad's really cool because they have this feature that they can entangle people if they land their hit. Sorry, ensnared, that's the word I meant. But essentially, yeah, now they're ensnared. And that's a really nice feature. Also got things we can do such as Shillelagh, which we probably should have done first. But they're really cool. If we come to the Woodwoad is basically just like a miniature tank, which is really cool. Take some swings at enemies, like that, for another solid amount of damage. And it's just a nice way of having like a little druid army. Now with that being said, it's time for Jaheira, and the first thing we are going to do is start summoning some creatures. So you come to your summon tab, you'll see we can do a spider, a bear, an ogre, goblins, a hook horror, or a skeletal dragon. And you know what we're going to start with. Now bear in mind, it does only really work in big areas because you are going to end up in a situation like this. But you kind of get a gist of what you can do with it. It's a lot of fun. And it has many things like a multi-attack, a slam, presence, lightning breath, it can fly. So let's see if we can get it to fly on top of the rooftop. There we go. And effectively, if you're in a boss fight, such as, let's say, the fight against the dragon in Act 3, really awesome way of getting through this.
Always the same old song.
Now back to Jaheira. We can do certain other things. We have bonus actions, we can Healing Word, we can Flourish. So let's just try Flourish on this enemy here. And there you go, you see we did a little bit of damage because they saved, but they did get burning. Again, another big attack from our Woodwoad. And again, back to the Dryad, and we're just going to do very simple things. Like attacking our person. You see just how much extra damage we did thanks to having Shillelagh available. And that still leaves us with our massive beast of a Woodwoad to finish a fight like that. And then that brings us to Jaheira. Now again, we can start summoning. We have more wall shapes. Bearing in mind, you can see that they do use up more depending on what you've got. So for example, if we take a bear this time, and we'll summon a lovely little bear just here. Just like that. We now have another summon on the battlefield, meaning our army is just building up incredibly, and then we can come in here with a heal, for example, and just heal ourselves up if we need to. Now the bear itself has some crazy damage. Let's attack the barbarian, and there you go. But, I know you're asking, what would now happen if we tried to change ourselves and wild shape into another creature while we have our summons? Well, if we go into our wild shape and let's turn ourselves into a wolf. Just like that, you see we gain our lunar vitality, and more importantly, all our summons still remain. And that's what makes this class or this subclass mod I should say, so fun to play, is because you can effectively have a little miniature druid army and double the amount of characters you can have in combat. For example, as you can see, we have our Dryad here who just missed. We have our Wood who can come in here and hit some massive critical hits. We have our Bear who can also come in here and land some critical hits. And then we ourselves, if I can make a jump up here, can also come in here and deal some damage. Just like that. And we get so many turns while in wild shape. And then when it comes to these sort of combat, it's basically just a need to chase the enemies down. Now unfortunately we can't really reach for some of these, but we can with our bear. So if we were to come up here, and if you come in here, you'll see we do have lots of things. Peck and pounce, we've got claws, we've got a bite. We would do our bite attack. A little bit extra damage. But all these people are just meat shields effectively for your team. And if you're playing with everyone, which we haven't been doing, you will effectively go through enemies way quicker. I only really play as the class we're using when it comes to these, just to show off how much damage and how versatile they are. But it really is that simple. And as you just saw there, we did a massive 34 damage with our bite attack. And it really is that simple. This is a sort of a class that's really good utility. We did all this without even needing to use any of our control spells, just because I was showing this off to you. Now, just bear in mind that, as you see, we have no wild charge shapes left. If we would come in here and short rest, we do get them all back. So you don't have to worry about saving them and trying to use them as much as you can. But as you can see, they will just follow you around and we have a massive army here. So, I really hope you have enjoyed this. If you have, please drop this a like, it helps me amazingly. Let me know in the comments what you would change, what you do differently, all that fun stuff. If you're already, please subscribe to the channel for more build guides for Baldur's Gate, for Path of Exile 2, for Dragon Age, for Elden Ring, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.